video Photoshop? Great. If you could, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Well, like read.
Is this my best side, or do I need to go?
Hello and welcome to the Serpent Temple podcast and YouTube channel. I'm here with Lewis Johns.
Hello.
From The Ranch, an amazing production studio near Southampton. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us not long ago in your studio.
I know.
Yeah, that was a bit mad, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, we're going to do a quick Psycard reading.
Okay.
So we're going to go to past, present and future.
Mm-hmm.
These are similar to tarot, not quite the same. They're based on the Jungian archetypes. So feel free to draw 3 cards, place them face down.
3, just from the top?
Anywhere you want.
3.
3. So we'll do past, present, future.
Okay.
So feel free to start with the past. Let's see what
Okay.
you've got. Father.
Father.
Wow. Okay, we're starting deep.
Okay.
I'll read you father. The
Okay.
descriptions can contain clues almost that aren't always immediately obvious. So this card shows her father teaching his son to shoot with a longbow. It symbolizes the masculine element in the nature of each one of us, standing for authority, strength, all protectiveness that can at times be stern and repressive.
Interesting.
How do you feel like, in a way, you're kind of a father figure at the ranch? Like you have people under you who learn from you, and like you're mentoring and passing your skills on to.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say even more literally, my father is who got me into music production. So, can I say that? So, like, he basically started off, like, the way I learned to do music production was he had a studio and a tape machine and a console and all this stuff. And when I was little, I used to go into a studio and turn all his gear on and off and break it. But he eventually, when I was old enough, he sort of taught me how to do it and stuff like that. So yeah, my dad has been a big figure in like me doing music production, basically. You know, he's basically the reason why I do it.
That's fascinating. So do you have what's your earliest memory of seeing, was it kind of like magical spaceship-like place to you?
Yeah, I remember so it was always in our loft. And I remember always walking up there being like, wow, this is amazing. There's so many lights and flashy dials and like all this other stuff. And yeah, from my earliest memory going up there, even when he wasn't in there and just like trying to turn stuff on and figure it out. And, you know, obviously when I was old enough, he started teaching me how to use it. And then from a very early age, I started recording friends' bands. So it was probably from about 12, 13, I started recording other people's bands and stuff, literally in the loft, by the way. And yeah, it just kind of went on from there. So
the first record you did was it Bastions?
No.
It wasn't. Shem thought it was.
So that was it's funny because that Bastions was probably one of the first records I did that got some attention,
right?
I would say. So before then, I've been doing records since I was 13.
Yeah, I was like, I can't imagine you recording at 13.
That's what I mean. So the first record I did was definitely my own band's record. You know, my dad always used to help with my own band stuff, and eventually I was like, right, I'm going to take the torch and do it myself.
Yeah.
And then I think it was after that, one of the first people that I recorded that wasn't just my own stuff was just a friend's band in school.
Wow.
Yeah, so it would have been... actually, I think I remember who it was. It was a band called Dead Jack.
Dead Jack?
Yeah, and they were like AFI kind of punk.
Nice.
And yeah, it was great. I think that was the first album I ever did that I was like, people are going to maybe listen to this and they'll have it on CD and stuff like that. So yeah, that was probably the earliest memory I have of like recording an album.
Amazing.
And Bastions probably would have been probably about 10 years later, to be honest. Like,
wow.
You know, because I started very early on.
Yeah.
And it was always that build of like, okay, who's really good? Who do I want to work with? Eventually, you know, I played in a punk band. I think I played with Bastions maybe, or I saw them at a show or something. And eventually was like, look, let me record you. I'll obviously do it for like barely any money. I think I did it for £100 a day or something.
Oh my goodness,
just
what a deal.
Something silly.
Yeah.
And you know, that was probably one of the first things that had a bit more of a breakthrough. So yeah, like I would say that's probably one of the first commercial things I did that actually did it right. But like, yeah, I'd been recording bands for a long time before then, really, and just figuring out like what I liked about recording and what I didn't like, and figuring out how to record people, like how to coach people into good performances. When I first started recording, I wasn't really recording on Pro Tools or Logic or anything like that, so it was very much like you record onto this hard disk recorder and you have to punch in and you have to teach people how to do really good takes, and so it kind of went on from there, really.
Do you remember like what your dad was recording? Was it a particular genre he would deal with, or?
So he used to record his own band stuff quite a lot. Before then, it was mainly like classic, what we would call classic rock, really now.
Cool.
But my dad is like a huge nerd, so he's always been. In fact, he actually invented one of the first MIDI software programs.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's his kind of background from it. Eventually, he went on to not work in music at all, but he actually sold that. I think it was to start like Cubase or something. Like it turned into Cubase or something stupid, and he sold it for like not that much money. But yeah, he's much more clever than me. Like he's very, very techie. And it's nice now because he asks me loads of stuff about what I'm doing and what the latest technology is in recording and producing, and actually even recently for his last birthday I got him to sit in and we mixed a song together, and I taught him how I would sort of do it with his own band stuff, and then after that he kind of went on and mixed the rest of it himself. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's so, because like in this deck the arrows and the bow represent the skills card.
Oh no.
So
cool.
this is about the father passing the skills on to the son, and it's literally what's happened with you.
Sick.
That's a good first card.
He's done it. He's passed that arrow on.
Yeah. The next card, the present. The libido.
Oh, nice.
Bloody hell. Sorry, Shan.
Well, your partner is here, so this is the present. I will read this. This is quite a long one, actually. Right, let me condense this for you. This card stands for freedom, particularly sexual pleasure. The snake can be seen as the serpent in the Garden of Eden, or as another joyous manifestation of the life force. This card can imply an awakening awareness of self and the psychic force of the Kundalini.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where do I even start with that?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be personal. It can also be professional. I mean, I'm assuming you deal with people who are like in the burgeoning of their creativity.
Yeah.
So you see that like the birth of albums. It's something that's really major in the lives of musicians, and you're guiding them on that path.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like you definitely have to manage some egos and expectations, people who probably have like, because to me as a I'm not a techie musician, and like seeing what you were capable of doing in the studio blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm ignorant, I just think you can do anything. I think you can just do anything in post.
Yeah. I mean, there's different levels of it, really. I mean, I sort of struggle with that. Like we were actually even talking about it earlier on. I struggle with how much you can do in post nowadays, because I feel like I'm allowing bands to cheat a little bit sometimes.
I see,
it's a bit of a moral conundrum.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm expected to deliver a certain level of sound, So, but I mean, like when you get a really good band in that can really play, and like their music is great and it speaks for itself, like it makes things so much easier, and you don't have to go through those. Well, am I a bad person by making this actually good when they aren't very good, really? And that's kind of rare nowadays, I will say.
Yeah.
But it does definitely happen. And there's a level of managing egos, managing expectations. Like, I think a big part of recording is the psychology of recording. It's like learning how someone like yourself would like record vocals better. It's not always necessarily about saying that's shit, do it again. Some people don't bode well with that stuff. Other people do, but like a lot of people don't really. And it's figuring out, okay, what's the best way that I'll get the best take out of you. What's going to get the most emotion out of this thing that we're doing.
I think that's really interesting, because you are a guide yourself, and I think I guess to a musician, the recording studio is a Garden of Eden. Like that's where you're going to get the thing that you've been working towards for years, and then you have this like almost godlike ability to immortalize that, and then also you're you're drawing this out of the musicians in like a very masterful way, in a way that's tailored for each one. And I think it's really interesting. There's like lots of different animals in this card. You've got snakes and peacocks. You've got waterfalls. There's a lot of like life, and it's easy for it to become overgrown.
Yeah.
Like if you let people run riot, but then like as a gardener, you're pruning that. You're making everything as it should be. Like you're literally trimming the grass.
That's a great way to look at it, to be honest. Like, the gardener of music. You get so many different things. Slugs that eat the herbs that you're trying to grow.
Who are they?
You also get like plant feed that's really good for your plant. I'm looking at Shan because she's the green-fingered one over it. But I guess my job a lot of the time is to sort of, sometimes rein it in, sometimes not to rein it in, sometimes to make people run with it and go for it.
Yeah.
So I would say gardener's actually a very good way to describe it.
I think so, because all musicians are different plants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really, my distinct memory of like working in the ranch was that it was a really intense time. It was like the dead of winter, and we were really scared. We felt really out of our depths. Like it was like a huge level up for us to be there. And you've worked with so many huge bands for us, like Rollo Tomasi and Employed to Serve, like all these people we look up to. So psychologically, you have like crazy imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You're like thinking to yourself, oh God, what if I'm a terrible musician? Like, how am I going to do my best in this like super intense situation with like all this incredible gear around and these people who are like the top of their game? And I really felt so welcomed, and like at no point did anyone make anyone feel stupid, or like everything was explained in such a like simple and patient way.
Yeah.
Really, we felt like we grew in that studio to the point where at the end we were like doing things in the studio, which is something that I never could have imagined to do as a musician.
Yeah.
It's a very scary thing to do.
But at the end of the day, like the role of a producer, is to facilitate the band's vision. And so much of that is to like, it's about working together. Like I hear all these stories about producers, or some producers anyway, being really horrible to work with, and like you hear all this stuff about like they told me I definitely couldn't do that and definitely couldn't do that. No. At the end of the day, it's your art and your vision.
Yeah.
So my job is to facilitate your vision, what you want out of the record, And if I'm not doing that, I'm not doing my job properly. And I feel like that's when you get the really creative stuff. Like, bands like Rollo Tomasi, they've been around a long time, and we have such a good relationship that it can, that sort of like working together to make something really great is much better than if you're sort of, I don't know, say, don't do that, you should do it my way, or you should try and record guitars like this. No, like that stuff's bollocks. Like, at the end of the day, it's their vision. So like, I'm just facilitating it. And if I've got things that could potentially make it better, I'll put it to the table.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's their thing. If they want to say no, they're totally free to say no,
I really noticed that with you, because we've not worked with many other producers, but I really found that like you would suggest stuff, and there wasn't like an expectation that we had to say yes, and that actually made it easier to agree and easier to see that you were right, if that makes sense. Like with the track listing of the album, you were like, I would put this song first, and it blew our minds because like the whole time we were writing the album, we had a different first song, and we were just like, we just assumed that was going to be the first song forever because that's how we decided it like 2 years before.
Yeah.
But obviously in the studio things change, and we hadn't like processed that yet, and you saw that straight away, and it took us like a minute, like a few days to like realize that you were absolutely right. And like your ability, the fact that you are like removed from that music to a degree as a third party almost when it comes to the writing, gives you this power to sort of see and communicate to artists like something that they would not see because they're too close to the ground.
Yeah, definitely. Such a big part of it, like the sort of third party coming in being like, maybe you should try this, is like sometimes scary, like especially if you sat with demos a long time.
Oh yeah.
We call it demoitis, like in the studio, when a band has like a certain thing or a certain drum pattern or something like that, that they're like, well, I've heard the demo do this for 2 years, so it should definitely do that. But like you have to remember, like, I listen to music every day. I mean, we all do listen to music every day, but like, I listen to music critically every day. And, we've had a conversation beforehand about what the vision is. So sometimes people forget, like, what is the vision here? Like, and you have to remember as a band, the producer, if it's a good producer, is on your side.
Yes.
They're not on another side, they're on your side, and they would rather say, shall we try this, because it could be really, really much better, than say nothing at all. Because I've done records where I've said nothing at all, and I've really regretted it, and stuff hasn't turned out great. But that whole collaboration of like, do you think that maybe we should try this? And you guys sitting on it for a minute and going, well, actually, yeah, maybe. Like the track listing thing is massive, I think. You know?
It honestly has changed the whole album to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that it's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Like, I really appreciate that. And like Kel Pinchin, who we tracked with, who's like one of your like people that you're passing your skills on to.
Big up, Kel.
Really amazing guy, love Kel. He was similar, like when we were in the studio, we were tracking with him, and like he would, I'm quite an insecure singer, so I'd just be like, is this good? Like a lot. And he'd just be like, yeah. And that was literally all I needed. Like, he was so good at like not making a big deal out of anything and like making people feel comfortable. So yeah, like I love that. I think that makes the ranch a really special place to go and record.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you guys had a really good time.
We did, yeah.
And the record is really good, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, we were so shocked that you even wanted to work with us.
Don't be silly. So you talk about imposter syndrome. Like I get that every day when I'm working on stuff. Like it's still like one of those things where I'm like, why? Like why are bands coming to me to do stuff? But like,
goodness.
I think that's just a part of. I mean, what makes us like want to get better at our job? You know, like it's always that constant development of like, okay, well, if they do want to come to me, I'm going to do the best I possibly can to do it. Otherwise, you know, someone else will do it, and I don't know. You know,
they'll throw you out of the Garden of Eden.
Exactly.
Yeah. The future, perhaps.
Okay,
shall we see?
Let's try.
Fortune. Oh, this is great.
Give me that money.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good sign. All right, I'll read you Fortune. Let's see what this says. The book tells all. A seeker, lantern in hand, is shown ascending a winding staircase leading up to a garret where a treasure chest is waiting. The card signifies the quest ending in fulfillment. It stands for success achieved by good luck, persistence, and an increase in wealth.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, I like that.
That's how I felt like with my phone torch on going up to the kitchen in the studio, going up the stairs.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, wealth for me is like being able to have a great life with my partner, and you know, having enough time out of work that I can like really enjoy what I'm doing. And obviously, you know, I love doing my job. Like, I absolutely love producing records. I love mixing records. That's like, you know, I wouldn't have been doing it since I was 12, 13. But like, you know, so it's all part of it for me. You know, like I want to be able to have a life outside and travel and do all the other things that, like, you know, a lot of people do that aren't freelance. Yeah, so I would say for me it's like that sort of healthy life balance of work and doing stuff like this, like coming to festivals, seeing mates that you haven't seen for ages all in one place. Like, I love this kind of shit. Like, I really love it. And I'm lucky that I've met so many cool people from doing it as well, you know? Like you guys, like, you know? I love coming to festivals and seeing everyone together. Like, it's great. So, yeah, for me, that's fortune.
Beautiful. Yeah, I feel like you're there already. Like, from my perspective, like, you're prolific and you have all these connections and people, like, I've never heard anyone say a bad word about you. Like, that's within the music industry.
You talk to Shan, though. Next interview is Shan.
Yeah, anytime, honestly. Yeah, I mean, Shan's tattoos are incredible, so we talk to artists as well. So if you want to come on, oh yeah, Shan, come on. Do you want to?
Right now?
You can if you want to.
Come on in.
Spontaneous Psycard reading. Do you want to do a quick?
You really dropped me in it by saying something bad about you, and I will say that I do nothing but sing your praises.
No, I know you do.
I stan you,
know,
so
I was being
hard. Sometimes, darling, it's hard to tell.
I've been told.
We first met because I was in a band that he recorded. He's done 3 of our albums, and we're a little crusty folk punk band from a local area. And we had a blossoming friendship, and the rest is history. So I'm always in awe of him. So don't say that I speak bad about you.
I was only joking.
You're the fortune. You're the fortune. Yeah.
There's a nice thing about you.
Oh. Yeah, it's interesting, like, two different artists, like, being in a relationship. You guys must have, like, unique perspectives on each other's art as well. Like, you get to show each other what you're doing.
Yeah,
That's
we do,
really cool.
yeah.
Absolutely. Like, you guys must feel the same, right?
Yeah.
Like a shared voyage and shared experiences and a fresh perspective on everything you do together. Like, it's so valuable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just that, like, relatability can only bring you closer every single time.
Yeah.
You did this recently, right? Am I
Yeah, she did
incorrect?
that, yeah.
That is so good. It's so cool. I don't know if it's going to be seen on camera. But yeah, that is legit. I love it. Is that like one of the Japanese frogs?
It is.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a work in progress. I'm talking about Lewis. That's fine. He's done.
Are you going to edit this?
Fix it in post.
He's done 3 of our records, but yeah, we'll finish 3 of your tattoos eventually.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. It's been
thanks
a
for
pleasure.
having us.
Anytime. It's beautiful. Thank you. Any last words to people watching / listening?
There's a great record from Lowen coming out pretty soon. I don't know the date, so you'll have to just insert date here.
October 4th.
There we go.
Thanks.
But yeah.